Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. Today we're playing Dual Universe, now in beta. Very promising MMO. I'd like to show you around the small cargo ship I've designed. Take you to space, orbit, and land safely back on the ground. So all you guys out there wondering exactly how to get to space, how to do it efficiently, this is the video for you. So, let's show you around the 8LU3 Sky Whale. Our lovely blue and yellow architecture. Let's turn a light on. We have 2 medium space engines, countless atmospheric engines, medium and small. Lots of wings. They're the medium normal type wings, and at the front we have the medium variant wings, which are bigger in look, same amount of lift, horizontal stabilizers, and vertical stabilizers. Now, all very important. Very, very important. Adjusters, medium sized, tactically placed around the ship. Also, with those adjusters, generally excess space engines. They're my manoeuvring thrusters. Now, admittedly, they don't do a great amount in space. Let's see if we can get up there. Come on. You should let me. Oh, you let me last time, you little bastard. Okay, whoop. There we are. We're on top of the ship. Space radar M. Just to make sure that we don't get ganked on our way up to the Sanctuary Moon. And more adjusters, as you can see. Okay. There's my downwards adjuster right there. Probably could use a spare one, but never mind. And my 2 medium tanks for the 2 different fuel tanks that I need. Notice there are no rocket boosters. Rocket boosters are quite a high tier item and I'm nowhere near them yet. So I opted to build a atmospheric space capable ship without them, which has been fun to say the least. She carries 2 small cargo containers. Fully loaded, I can just make it out of atmosphere. We have 4 smart landing gear there, so actually she could land and be docked on a larger ship. So she's ready for the future when I build Blue's cruiser. We've also got these vertical rocket boosters. I opted for those because I've got so many atmospheric engines. I ran out of slots on the tank. I didn't want to add the weight of another tank. So considering I have less space engines, I used the rocket boosters instead. They run off of space fuel. So they link up to the space tank. I can show you. Just like that. Okay. There are 2 more vertical rocket boosters on the very belly of the ship. So she hovers pretty strongly. She has to when she's fully weighted up. So, should we have a look inside? Ah, the cockpit. How could I forget? In the cargo variant, I plan to change this into a military variant dropship later on with a different cockpit. We have a nice square cockpit with an all-round view for the pilot. I have the emergency landing doohickey, which I actually stole off of my speeder. And we have some, I believe they're large. No, they're medium retro rocket brakes. They don't need fuel, but if you want to stop in space, they are very useful. In cruise control, you can use engines pointed in all directions to stop you, but these retro rocket boosters are a little bit stronger. However, you will see that on re-entry, I often flip and burn to use the 2 medium space engines to slow me down quicker. She's made of steel and carbon fibre, blue polished steel, grey carbon fibre, with a little bit of yellow thrown in there, because that's my way of doing things. Medium airlock placed at the front at an angle, even when not editing the construct. Oops. As long as she's landed flat, you can simply hop up in. Nice and simple. Stairwell. If you want, you can put decorative XS containers down here. I haven't yet, but I will do. Sealed in. I designed the cabin to work for 3 people. Designed her for short trips, so there's no berths, nowhere to sleep. However, one could argue that in 0G, you could sleep in the jump seats. A couple of you guys can be sat playing chess. Navigator seats. modules, so have a few out. Very useful. A resurrection pod, because you know, we're all immortal now. And a sink. Should have put a toilet in, really? Felt like there wasn't enough privacy. You know, use your spacesuits, guys. Commander's chair, you can walk around the front nice and happily. Have a good look around wherever you are. And from the commander's seat, you can activate or deactivate the emergency landing protocol. Whoa. Didn't actually want to take off yet, so I'll land her again. I wanted to show you one more thing before I take off. This is the most awesome discovery I have made so far. So useful. So cheap. Gyroscope. Comes from my space engineer days. I saw that you could build a gyroscope and assumed that I would need one to fly a ship. I'm so glad that I did. It gives an extra readout on your HUD, which is especially useful when you're designing a ship that is not over-engineered. So you've probably seen a lot of videos of ships that are huge, with 200 engines on, 200 wings, all attached wherever they can put them, because they just want to get the thing airborne. What I've tried to do here is balance cargo capacity with expense, really. I didn't want to have so many elements as they have been using to get up space. Now the downside of that is they can haul 3 odd kilotons of cargo up into space at once. I can only take 2 small containers. You know, could be more. However, I think for the size of it, it's about the right cargo capacity for what it is. I could build a bigger space hauler, however, I plan to wait until I have access to vertical rocket engines, and we'll be building a specialised craft to go up into space and drop off to another craft. I like to have specific jobs for machines. This is actually more multi-purpose than I would normally have. You've got access to the core from inside, so you can repair it if you need to, and access to both cargo containers, of which I have left some steel in. So, without further ado, let's take a flight. Let's activate that, just in case I crash. I like to fly third person. The first thing I do is Alt R to go to cruise control. It was going to try and blast me off the landing pad there. The reason I choose cruise control is if I'm slightly off level, cruise control will engage the engines I need to stop me from drifting off. So you can see I'm not level there. That means that the adjusters are able to cope to stop me from drifting. If I do it a bit more, I start to go outside of what they can cope with, and the engines light up because they're trying to stop me because I'm in cruise control. If I was in travel mode, it wouldn't do that. It would just let me drift. Press G to bring the landing gear up. Now, technically speaking, you don't need landing gear unless you're intending on landing on a moving construct later on, which I am intending to use this ship for. I intend to reuse the chassis multiple times and make a few different variants. So, let's see if it will tell me in the... Oh, hang on. Let's land first. Control backspace kills your engines. Very useful key tip there. Right, let's see. Construct information. Good to go, it says. 85.1 tons. That's pretty much unloaded. 126 meters squared of honeycomb. And 93 elements. 10 atmospheric engines. 2 air brakes. And quite a few aerofoils. You don't necessarily need this many if you're not carrying as much cargo to space. If you are just making a taxi, you do not need all of this gear. I suggest you work to what you need your machine to do. It makes life a lot easier. I have been toying with this machine for a couple of weeks now. It's taken me a while to get the lift right for fully loaded. Unloaded, oh, I could do it ages ago. Get to space and back, no problems. As soon as I was fully loaded, very difficult. We got space engines. It's telling me they're no good in atmosphere, I believe. Construct not in space. There you are. Space fuel tank. And retro rocket brakes. We got our adjusters. Now, it's not showing me the information that I was hoping to show you guys, so I will just get out. I believe I need to edit the construct and use my build planner for that. Here we go. There's something very important I want to tell you, and something you should take note of when you are building your ships. See if I can find it. Sustenance speed. So in your atmospheric flight engineer, drop down high altitude list and note down your sustenance speed. That is the speed, the slowest speed you can travel with your wings still providing enough lift for your craft. Now before I added the extra wings it was 190 kilometers per hour. That's actually slow enough that I can brake and land on most landing pads without a problem. So I tend to make that my sustenance speed in my head. However, I can go down to 176 while I'm unloaded. So when you're coming in for a landing, you land like a plane, you slow down to your sustenance speed, and in the last possible moment, you cut your engines, gravity will take over, and you will drop the rest of the way. I will show you that later. The rest of this is all green. Basically, if it's red, you've done something wrong, or you need to fix it. Unless you are only atmospheric and, space is red, for example, or the other way around. I have more brake force than I have thrust. That's interesting. I'll have to remember to not flip and burn. I'll show you the flip and burn anyway because it can come in very useful. Right, here we go again. Third person. Alt R straight away to go to cruise control. If I ever find out how to make it do that by default, I will tell you guys, because most ships I have found are far easier to control when you have cruise control on. I'm going to throttle up straight to my sustenance speed so that I can pitch up. See how my wings clipped the ground there? Okay. Now I know that the max speed of this thing is something like 770 kilometers per hour. So I am going to throttle up with my mouse wheel to about 800 so that I know I'm going to get full throttle. Note the little Wi-Fi symbol down there means that during this video I might crash. So I really hope I've turned the emergency controller on. I have. So, look down at the bottom right, you will see gyroscope 155. It gives me my pitch and roll. On this ship, extremely important. In order to get the balance and thrust right, I need to hold between 10 and 15 degrees pitch. Any lower than 10, I won't have enough lift to sustain my climb. Any higher than 15, I won't have enough thrust. This is what I mean by over-engineering. You could slap 20 more engines on it. You could slap 50 more wings on it and not have to worry. But I like to live life on the edge. There she goes. So whilst flying, if you press X, it gives you velocity. Other videos will have showed you that already. Press X again. You get your velocity and thrust. Very useful while testing. If you're wondering why you're not getting it to atmosphere, that can tell you why most of the time. Help you figure out what's wrong. Notice how I'm climbing up to 4,300 meters now. My space engines have kicked in. This is the sanctuary moon. And notice how little thrust I'm getting from the atmospherics, but they're still there. My wings are still giving me atmospheric lift. So there's no reason for me to pitch up yet. If I were to pitch up right now, my space engines would not be able to cope, gravity would beat me and drag me back down to the planet's surface. So I need to remain patient. Now I can throttle up because the space engines are capable of far faster flight. I like to escape the gravity well at about 3,000 kilometers per hour. That noise is me leaving the first layer of atmosphere. On the way back in, if you're going too fast, you will get burn up. Notice how my velocity marker is still starting to point down towards the planet. My pitch goes up if I don't adjust it. That's because of the curvature of the planet. Got to remember to adjust it sometimes. I'm not yet at a speed that I could escape the planet at a high angle. I have to keep going. So it's at this point I will remove the thrust markers and show you long range trajectory. At the moment it's red. That means that if I do nothing else, if I do not speed up, and I do not change my pitch, I will land back on the planet where the red marker says I will. Notice I'm still climbing, even though I'm pitching to 15 degrees, 8,400, 8,500, etc. I'm still capable of speeding up, so let's go to 4,000. Ah, there it is. The colour's just changed. That means I'm in an orbit. If it's green, it's not a particularly high orbit. So let's move up a bit. Now it's blue. That's your orbit marker. It goes a darker blue the higher the orbit you get until you are going to escape the gravity well completely, and then it goes kind of dark blue. So that's how I know I'm in orbit. Notice how the line literally stretches all the way around the planet now that it knows I'm not going to hit the ground. Ooh, bit of lag there. It's okay because I'm high enough up that I can adjust for it now. Now this is the relaxing part. I've got my ship into an orbit in space. Now I just have to wait. If I was going to the Sanctuary Moon, I could either pull up here and full throttle. I should have enough speed and height to leave the atmosphere at that point. I know for a fact that if I'm fully loaded, I don't. I'm empty at the moment, so I could just turn around. Look there, the line's changing. I'm no longer going to be in an orbit, so I need to adjust myself to put myself back in orbit. Notice those stars. My vector's going up at the moment in orientation to my ship. To bring this orbit back down, I need to change my vector. Once you get in a stable orbit, you will find that you're pointing towards the planet an obscene amount of the time. So as I was saying, when I'm fully loaded, instead of trying to fight gravity so much, I just allow myself to do an orbit, and then I can escape at a much shallower angle towards Sanctuary Moon or Alioth. So if I was going to Alioth right now, fully loaded, this is about the point where I would stop trying to keep my orbit and aim at Alioth. But I do want to just do an orbit of the planet to show you the mechanics. I'm going to have to pitch down quite hard now to keep in orbit. Seems funny, doesn't it? Spaceflight's a lot different to atmospheric flight. You don't fly in a straight line. Once you've gained momentum, it's Newton's law, isn't it? Once you've got that momentum, it's not going to change your direction or your speed until you do something to change it. There we go, back in orbit now. I accidentally got in a decaying orbit. However, if I were to leave the cockpit right now, my emergency controller would take over and try and land me. If I turn it off, woohoo! I start to speed up. The reason I'm speeding up is because gravity is catching me and trying to push me back down. Oh wait, I'm in this pilot seat, aren't I? Right, watch what happens if I leave without the emergency control. Note that we were about 3,500 kilometers per hour before. Lovely. Look at that. Equal and opposite reaction. I have not changed speed. I have not done anything to adjust myself. There we are. Get up, have a chat with your mates, explore your ship. Go use the sink that I installed. By the way, don't bother with these damn light things. They're so hard to build when you can just build the luminescent glass instead. I'll show you that in a later video. My factory is covered in those lights. Okay, let's check our orbit. So in travel mode, I am not applying any thrust. No computer is trying to stop me or alter my orbit. So therefore I'm just drifting really. Essentially if I leave it like this, I should eventually end up in a decaying orbit, because without adjustment, gravity should eventually always win. Currently, if you look at the dynamic core readout on my right hand side, gravity is 7.7 meters per second and climbing, which suggests I'm losing altitude, which is, you know, backed up by the fact that my altitude meter is going down. So I know that to maintain my orbit until I make it all the way around the planet, I need to add thrust. Oh, I'll switch back to cruise control, because it will adjust my course for me, keep me going nice and straight. If you want to do Newtonian physics, use travel mode. You will have to turn the ship and work out the thrust for yourself, which isn't a problem. Although I have found, even in cruise control, if you've ever played Elite Dangerous, people like flying flight assist off to get Newtonian physics. It's fun in Elite. And I tend to find actually flying in Elite without it a little bit boring. Flying in Dual, even with cruise control on, is still a challenge. Still a proper challenge. If I were to want to stop and go straight down to the planet now, I couldn't. I'd have to plan my route. Let's switch back to travel mode and just let the orbit decay for a second. That adjustment, I should just keep going round. Oh, you know, like this part, nice and relaxing. This is what space flight should be. Drifting through the black. Reminds me of the theme tune to Firefly. I was going to say Serenity, you know, the film, because, you know, there wasn't a whole series to do with that. And you know what? We can do stuff like this. So at the moment I'm not doing anything to adjust my trajectory. Free flowing, all in the same direction. I'm actually starting to slow down, which eventually I have found constructs do on dual universe. It's almost like there is a resistance in space. I think that's so that if you accidentally DC or you go AFK for hours, you would oh, look at that, I can see my orbit line completing itself. Your ship wouldn't just keep floating into oblivion. Because no one wants that, you know. So we're coming around the planet. Gravity's starting to suck me down. It's taking too long. So I am going to use cruise control. Note how it had throttled down to the speed in the direction I'm pointing. Didn't bring me back to 3,000. Let's get a closer orbit and let's turn her off. Oh, I'm decaying. Not good. Not what I wanted. Speed up, speed up. It's right, I've got loads of time before I hit the ground, you know. Burn up. I will say at the moment there is no voxel damage, so don't worry if you make a mistake. However, when you destroy 90 elements on a ship, it does take a long time to repair, so be prepared to make a lot of scrap. I've done that to this ship 4 times. I've crashed into Sanctuary Moon and Sanctuary itself about twice each. While waiting for the orbit to complete, Blue is recruiting. ALU3, we were a planet-side outfit that I started over 7 years ago. We made a comeback recently, and we are a multi-gaming community. We intend to hit Duel in a big way. We're still getting active at the moment, but if you would like to be part of our organisation, you are welcome to search us up in the organisations pages within Duel Universe. We want to do a little bit of everything: mining, piloting, combat, ship design, industry. If you're interested in any of those things, come and join us. I'm currently putting group objectives up in our Discord, which people can contribute to if they wish. One of those jobs is to pilot this very cargo vessel between our moon base and Sanctuary itself, because I have opted to keep our main industry in the PvE area. That's just to the thought that if we do get Stone Aged, we can at least start again from Sanctuary without a problem. We'll be building a cruiser in Sanctuary Moon very soon. Soon as we've got the parts, which we will use to go and colonize other planets to get those rare resources. However, what I will say is that grey moon up there is absolutely fantastic for mining the basic tier 1 resources. It's got so many surface deposits. It's so easy to travel around because of the low gravity. So at this point, I need to start slowing down and decaying my orbit. So let's get these retro rocket brakes kicking in. If I want to slow down fast, I need to point in the direction of my velocity. So velocity marker is helping me with. And if that decay marker gets just into the right area, actually I want to fall a little bit short of it because I need to finish my landing in atmosphere, I will then switch to travel mode, which should let gravity take over. Note how my velocity marker is no longer changing. I'm going to opt to present my largest surface area to the atmosphere as I come in. Oh, gravity is making me speed up. I don't want that. If I hit the atmosphere at 2,000 kilometers per hour, I'm going to do damage to the craft. If you don't want any burn up at all, you need to slow down to below 1,000, which is actually really quite hard, because at some point your rocket brakes don't do as well, because they start getting into atmosphere. And your atmospheric brakes aren't yet ready to take over fully. There we go. If I switch to travel mode again, it'll probably speed me up again. But I have a feeling I'm close enough to the atmosphere now that burn up shouldn't be too much of an issue. I will let myself have a little bit more braking speed just to be safe. Better to be safe on this game than sorry. Plan out your routes. Plan out your atmospheric re-entries. Plan out your exits. Let's see that burn. There it is. I should start slowing down pretty spectacularly now. Oh, something's taken damage. So as you can see, I re-entered actually a little bit too fast. Shouldn't be too big a deal. I'll figure out what take damage when I land back down. So, for future reference, don't re-enter the atmosphere at that speed. That was only 1,500 kilometers per hour. You can imagine if we were going at 4,000 still, we would have had serious issues. It hurts, put it that way. Now that I'm back in atmosphere, I fly like a plane again. So if you like, I'll switch the velocity indicators over to show us our thrust and our lift. There we go, nice and simple. To be honest, I can fly the rest of the way without indicators, so I got the gyroscope to help me. Same as climbing, I don't really want to dive at below 15 degrees pitch, or between 10 and 15 degrees, because the air brakes just won't be as effective. won't have as much control. Now your craft may differ. You have to test your own craft to find these things out. I've built a cargo craft, so I expect that kind of behaviour. If you've got a fighter, you might have the thrust and the air brakes to go straight up and straight down. I'm going to circle around a little bit, so I come into my landing pad from the right direction. Slow down to my sustenance speed. Look at all these constructs loading in. Bright lights in the big city. Oh, I saw that guy's factory on Reddit. Very cool. Round we come. Nice big circle, and that's only because I know the direction that I did the flattened out ground. Right now I'm going to get my gears out. There they go. Slow down right as far as I can without dropping out of the sky. And at about 150 meters, I believe I need to stop. I've come in at the wrong angle. Ha ha ha, it's okay. So my vertical rocket boosters will take over, and I will become a hovercraft. Now, of course, the command seat is set up for flying. So it's a little bit harder to control than a normal hovercraft in hover mode, but not impossible. It does the fine tuning to get me back on the pad. Nice and simple, hey? There's my half-finished factory, my little house that I built on the first day. I need to upgrade my warehouse now, though, because, you know, we've got ores coming in. I need places to put them. Whoop! I'd say the most important thing is take your time. Don't rush it. Flying is fun, especially in this game. No shortcuts. Get used to your craft. Notice now I'm going to start using pitch instead of throttle because the throttle was just too sensitive. So I'm going to pitch further than those controllers can deal with. And because I'm in cruise control mode, when I pitch back up to around level, it will engage the correct parts of the ship to stop me. Now that I'm hovering above the pad, Alt-C permanently lowers the hover height of my rocket engines. And I completely missed. How embarrassing. Ooh, 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 ooh. Let's go a bit further forwards. There we are. Now that is an XS core that I have built the landing pad on, just because I have one spare. I won't be doing that next time. I'll make a bigger one. So then obviously I've Alt-C'd all the way down. If you don't want it to jump in the air when you leave the seat, control backspace, engines off, right click and leave. We've completed our orbit of Sanctuary. Hope you enjoyed that, everyone. I know it gets boring at points, but you know, when you get to do it yourself, you'll feel very serene. Be able to meditate as you go around the planet. And there we are, the blue Sky Whale. It will be on the marketplace as soon as we can trade blueprints on there. If you wish to get a copy of it, I will sell them personally to you. I live by Marketplace 15 on Sanctuary Moon. Let's have a look at the damage. Okay, so we damaged the fuel tank and, of all things, the upward thruster, which, you know, wasn't really exposed to the burnout at all, and a wing. So what I need is some scrap. Hello, I'm not going to make you guys watch me repair it. Let's sign off there. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time.